Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tottenham Tactics with Stel from Tottenham Away. How are we doing, Stel? How are we doing? Doing okay?
I'm good. It's been a good December for us as a club. Obviously, the Southampton result wasn't quite what we wanted, but undefeated in the Premier League, best first 7 games for a manager at Spurs that's first started. There's a lot of positives at the club, a lot of good energy, but we're coming up to the big one now, January. Big games and the transfer window.
Exactly, which Conte has been talking about. But ultimately, the last performance we did have was ultimately a very frustrating 1-1 draw against Southampton, in which we were, playing over half the game against 10 men after they got a man sent off. And, from that position, especially with just scoring just before half-time as well, you're thinking momentum is with us. Surely we're going to go on and win the game. And to not take all 3 points was obviously a massive disappointment, very frustrating. But, we'll talk about it during the game in this segment, why we didn't get the win, what prevented us from taking full advantage of the 10 men. But do you think, or just as an overview, was it more Tottenham being poor or Southampton playing very well from what you saw?
It was both. It was both. If I was to put it down to one, or if I had to lean more to one or the other, I'd say we got it wrong on the day in several areas. We didn't do what we could have done to get the result. But there was a bit of bad luck in the game as well. Obviously, we're going to discuss VAR. But Southampton, tactically, they went about the game in the right fashion, but we also allowed them to play that way. We're going to get into it.
I'm looking forward to this. Also, just to let you guys know, if you want to give your opinions or you have any questions, Estelle, put it in a super chat or send in a comment, or you can even send us a tweet. We will be looking at Twitter, and we will be addressing anything you've got to say and any opinion or point you want to bring up while we're going through it. But look, let's get right into it. We're going to go look at the Spurs-Southampton game and see why the result played out the way it did.
Sim, I just want to quickly add to what you just said before we start. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that watches this show that we're doing, the Tactics Show. So many positive comments. The feedback has been brilliant. I do my best to go into the comments afterwards on YouTube and reply to everyone. Please keep it coming in because so far it's a lot of positives. So it's thank you very much, guys, for doing that. It's appreciated.
Definitely, yeah. Everyone's been loving it. Everyone's loving a bit of tactics. So I think it's definitely something the channel needed. So. Good stuff. Let's keep rolling on. All right.
So where do we begin?
where do we begin? What's the first thing you want to touch on when you're looking at this game?
So I actually was driving down to Southampton. I went to the game with your brother, and we were in the car. And when the lineup came out, we were debating, based on the lineup, are we playing with 3, kind of in that deep holding mid role, with 2 up top? We're playing with 2 holding mids and 3 up top like we did against Palace. So we kind of played the 5-3-2 against Liverpool. And then we played the
3-4-3.
Or a 3-4-3.
Against Palace, yeah.
And then against Palace we played a bit more of an attacking front, I would say. Now, Ben said we're going with 3 in that holding mid role. I said, no, we can't be doing that. It must be 3 up top. That doesn't make sense to me. He goes, no, but I think that's what we're going to do. Now, your brother got it right. But the reason I said I couldn't understand it is because why would you go with that tactic against Southampton? That, for me, it's too defensive. It's too pragmatic. Against Liverpool, I understood it because we're worried of 3 phenomenal attackers that Liverpool have got. Let's be a bit more pragmatic. Let's also load up the holding mid so that we can have 3 shift across to stop the amazing wing-backs they got, which we described in the last show. Southampton don't have amazing wing-backs, and they don't have 3 dangerous players up top. So I was a bit unsure as to why Conte would go with such a, in my opinion, a bit more defensive system. Now, I want to bring up the first image. Because we played that defensive system, Southampton pressed us quite well. You can see they've got quite a high line. And this is us trying to play the ball out from the back. So we're trying to basically get past a Southampton press. But Southampton were allowed to press us because of the way I believe we set up. We didn't have enough players high up the pitch and wide high up the pitch to ask the question. Remember I always said to you, Sim, you've got to be transition ready. 1, for when we go from a defence to attack, and 2, ask the question. What are you going to do about us putting these players high up, wherever we position them? What are you going to do about it? I don't think we answered that question enough. And that allowed Southampton to press us. So whenever the goalkeeper played the ball to a centre-back or to a holding mid that came short, someone from further back pushed forward. And I can't check because we don't have access to to video footage, but they pressed on us.
You mean the centre-backs? The Southampton centre-backs were pushing forward on our forwards.
No, their midfielders would push on to our holding mids.
Right.
When the ball got played. If the ball got played to Winks or Dele, Southampton would press onto them straight away. If we played the ball to our centre-backs, the Southampton wide players or attackers would press onto them. So the question now is, how do we get out of the press? Well, you can make a tactical change to force them back a bit. We didn't do that. So the only way you get out of a press, there's 4 ways you can do it. One, you go toe-to-toe with them. So when you watch Liverpool versus Man City, they go toe-to-toe.
Yeah, it's just press, counter press. That's all it is, yeah.
But to play out of a press, you need technically gifted players that make accurate, quick, concise passes. The movement off the ball is very good. And they can play through the press and break through it. We don't have that squad. Unfortunately, we don't. But they're not technically good enough as a collective to do that. So we can't do that. The other option is to do what we did.
Go direct.
Long balls, long passes. That didn't work. Now, against Liverpool, that worked because their midfield was depleted and Van Dijk was missing. Southampton, they weren't depleted like that. So they contained us quite well. There's one other way you get out of it. And that's what I was looking at, because I knew we weren't going to play through the press. And I knew the long balls weren't working. And I was saying it to your brother and Simon that was with us. We got to stop playing these long balls. They're not going to work. You've got to play the ball in an area to draw players in to create a space behind, and then you've got to know to put the ball in that space, and for the players who are high up to split and go into the space, and then the midfield then makes the run into the middle. Okay, I'm going to try and explain this, but it's difficult because we've got static footage, all right?
Yeah.
If we bring up the next slide. Now, if you look at step 1, you're looking at Ben Davies. He should make a run to the byline. Why would you want to go there? It's to pull the player next to him with him.
Forward.
Now, if that player doesn't run with him, great. Davies has now got time on the ball. We can begin to find a way out of the press. But he probably will go with him because they've been instructed to press. But as soon as Davies goes, that should trigger Reggie, step 2, to then push up the line and go to where Davies is. That then pulls the player next to Reggie free. If that player doesn't go with Reggie, brilliant. Because Davies, touch, play out to Reggie, Reggie's free. We begin to get out of the press further up. But on the assumption that Davies and Reggie both drop and both players press with them, the big red circle that I've put on the pitch, that space will open up. And it's those pockets wide on the halfway line. They're the areas you want to then dink the ball into. So either Lloris or the centre-back will turn, put the ball there. So Kane, Son, who I've circled in the light blue, they then go wide into those areas, depending which side we go the press. That's how you beat the press. So if you're not going to go long ball, you're not going to pass your way quickly out of it. You need to get the ball into those wide areas and then break there. But to do that, you need to suck in the press and then have the forward players shift wide. Now, you're going to say to me, but still, well, you might say it to me. Still, what happens if Son goes out wide and then the centre-back goes with him? Centre-back's not going to do that.
He wouldn't. He can't. He has to stay central.
And that's how you beat the press. If they do go wide, amazing. Because then in the
a
middle,
hole.
Dele, Winks, drive. And we break.
And I actually think, though, I don't think it was necessarily this tactic, but if during the first half, there was one way we did manage a few times to beat their press, and we actually had, I would say, I can remember off the top of my head, at least 3 opportunities, if the pass was right, to be in on goal from Harry Kane. A few times we would play the ball directly to Kane. He would then hold the ball up. One of their centre-backs, which they were playing very aggressively, especially Salisu was, they would try and nick the ball off him. and he holds them up. He would hold off the centre back, and because the centre back is drawn out, there's all this space left in behind for Son and Dele to run into. And that happened 2 or 3 times, but Kane just couldn't get the pass right in behind. But the one time we did get it right was for the penalty.
And the reason that space got created is because, remember I said one of the ways you play through a press is to quickly pass the ball. And you're playing tiki-taka your way out of it. Once or twice we did that. We did some quick, intricate passing and we got through it. But we don't have the ability to do that time. Yeah, consistently, correct.
Yeah, exactly. More often than not, we'll lose it. Whereas Man City, more often than not, they're going to get through.
Look, ideally, you want to be able to do a multitude of things. Can we go long? Can we play out from the back quickly? Can we do what I said? Draw in the press, dink it into those wide areas where the space will open up. You want to be able to do a multitude of things. But I just felt, looking at the way we were playing and what we were capable of, this is how I would have got out of it.
And in that sense, because Southampton, they made a lot more changes than we did.
It means nothing.
Do you think it means anything? Be a player potentially a lot more fresher, which has allowed them to maybe put a more intense press on us.
Are you going to be more fresher? This thing about fatigue is more likely to kick in as the game goes on. This was right at the start of the game. I believe every player on the pitch has got the energy levels. And don't forget, we took off 3 players, didn't we? We made 3 subs against Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
We rested some players. I just think tactically they set up well, and we didn't have an answer to get out of their press.
Right, apart from the few times we got it to Kane.
Yeah. Once or twice we did play our way out, but we needed a better solution because most of the times, Sim, we were going long.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that was probably our undoing. All right, so let's carry on then.
Right, the next thing I want to get onto is the goal they scored. So the whole purpose of a press is to win possession high up the pitch, so you're close to goal to be able to shoot and score.
And they're unsettled as right. They're unsettled in their defence when you get the ball, usually.
Yeah, and a press will put pressure on players, which leads to mistakes. However, this particular scenario here has got nothing to do with the press. The press led to a throw-in out wide. So you could say, actually, this goal led from the press because the pressure, the clearance. From a throw-in, we've got more defenders in the box than them. Ward-Prowse, their most dangerous player, we were all talking about him before the game. He's free on the edge of the box, unmarked. And I've circled 1, 2, 3, 4 players.
It's 5 players there, even.
5 players. Well, one of them's actually marking.
Reggie's okay, fine.
But there's 4 players who, you maybe out wide, he's marking the player at the back post. There's 3 players in that circle that are marking nobody. Can one of them not go out to the ball? Or can the player that's near the penalty spot?
Yeah, who's he? What's he doing?
Can he not go to Ward-Prowse? So their goal actually came from poor defending. Antonio Conte won't be happy with that.
Of course not.
He will not be happy with that. Why did we allow poor defending to happen? Listen, you're talking about quality of player now. You're talking about a leader saying, Højbjerg, your man.
That's got to be organisation from a long throw.
Organisation from a long throw, practicing how to defend a set piece from a throw-in, someone being a leader, organising the players, just someone having the common sense to say, do you know what? Actually, I'm not marking anyone, and there's a danger there. I'm going to go neutralise it. It didn't happen. And we let the best striker of a ball on their team
have a free shot.
And it was a cracking goal as well.
But from a set piece, you have to think, it must be so easy to say someone has to be looking at Ward-Prowse, especially him. How he can be free from this situation is farcical.
I'm a big fan of man-to-man marking because at least it puts pressure on the player that's attacking. We're not man-to-man marking here. Not on Ward-Prowse. You can't be doing that against quality players. That could have been Mohamed Salah, De Bruyne. It could have been Maddison. Any one of them gets onto that ball there. We've got a big problem. And I just felt, we're inviting the press on, and when we don't have we're not using a tactic to get out of the press. When they do get an opportunity from the press, we're not defending right. We were just a bit of a mess at the start of the game, Sim.
Do you think it's because it was a long throw, actually a lot deeper, because you can't be offside from a throw, can you? So maybe in their minds they're thinking, we have to be a lot deeper than we actually should be when defending this type of situation.
It's not about being deeper because the ball got thrown and it's been cleared. The ball is in that red circle.
Yeah.
You've got a mark who's in and around the danger area. Are you ready for a rebound? Are you ready to win the second ball? We weren't.
That's what cost us.
That's what cost us, yeah. And they went 1-0 up. On the flip side, I want to show the next slide. Now, this is where our goal came from. Harry Winks playing a fantastic through ball. Winks again. Deserves a lot of praise. Onto Son. Son runs in. We win the penalty. Now,
I've noticed something.
how many times have I said this?
You said a straight line is bad defending.
And we had this debate last time. You said, well,
did.
yeah, but, you know. And I said, if you play that line like that high up with space to run in, a quality pass and a quality player, you can't do it. And it's happened again. I'm going to bring it up every week because I want everyone to understand. A lot of fans look at that and say, that's good defending. Look, they're in a straight line, the offside.
Trap, yeah.
No. Some people might say, look, the player in the red at the bottom keeps them on.
Which he does.
But some would have broken through that anyway because he timed his run well. He would have just started from maybe a metre back. But it's that line.
So you're saying a player, when instead of doing a straight line, which I'm clearly this is an offside trap, right? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to say, you better make this pass perfect, otherwise you're offside. So what you think is one of those players should always be running with the player as opposed to us just concentrating on trying to keep him offside.
I need to do a show where I show you how to play defensive line when in that position in between the halfway line and the penalty box. I need to do a separate show on that because there's 3 or 4 solutions. For me, this is not a solution you play. Again, remember what we said. If you're playing Norwich and they've got Pookie up front, that's fine. He's not going to have the pace.
But the thing is, Son is so quick. If you try and go with him, isn't he always going to outpace you? As opposed to trying to...
You're not... So the way you set up the defensive line isn't to stop Sonny. It's to stop that pass.
Right.
If you set the defence up properly, that pass can be blocked before it gets to Son. A top player with pace is, you're right, they're always going to get through. So stop the problem at source. How? And it's how you set up that stops that. That is not how you stop. That is not going to stop the pass going through because of the way they're set up. So I just wanted to point out how both goals came, from my opinion, in defensive errors and quality at the same time. The strike by Ward-Prowse was quality. The pass from Winks was top draw.
Okay. Good stuff. And that's exactly follows on to when I think we scored against, I think it was Brentford. Very similar situation. Straight line. And yes, what you were complaining about.
Brentford, Norwich, Liverpool. It's the same pattern over and over again. It's called a killer pass. You coach players to play a killer pass and you coach players to make that run.
Yeah, but Winks was playing those passes all day long, wasn't he? Some really good. He was brilliant, wasn't he, Winks? I thought against Southampton.
I think he was one of our best players. I think he made 2 or 3 really good passes. It was difficult for us to continue that concept of killer pass second half. Although we did find Kane for one, and he scored an unbelievable goal.
Yeah, brilliant.
But second half, we'll get on to what happened there, and it meant we had to change our approach as well.
Okay, so what's the next topic?
Well, second half, Southampton went into a more compact, more deeper role because they went down to 10 men. So we changed our formation as well. So you can see here, second half, we've gone 3-4-3, which is what I was saying at the start. Why didn't we start like this? But it's almost like, oh, we're more confident now to attack because you've got a less player. Surely we should be more confident to attack because we're better than you. So we've gone to a 3-4-3. Why? Because we know that they're probably going to sit back deeper. And what Southampton did exceptionally well was they went into a very compact phase of play. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that's almost the entire Southampton squad in that blue circle. When you consider the size of the pitch, we're attacking. They've got everyone in that circle. Why? It's very compact. It's very narrow. That is very difficult to break down, Sim. It doesn't matter what quality team you are. And I'll give you a good example. Do you remember when we played Watford earlier on in the season? We beat them 1-0 under Nuno.
Yeah.
Watford practically put their whole team in the penalty box for the whole game.
Yeah.
We couldn't break it down. Why? But Watford are terrible because it's so difficult to break through that.
That's why teams do it part of the bus when they're holding on to a lead.
Yeah. Yeah, just hold on and for dear life and maybe get a counter attack and win it, or we'll take the draw. So the way you get around this is you go around it, over it, or through it. State the obvious. To go through it is the hardest thing. So you either go over it, which is again difficult because when you're so deep, you haven't got as much space to run onto. So we went around it, which wasn't a bad idea. And as you can see here,
That's where the space was.
the ball's getting played out wide. Emerson's making the run. I've also put the red line at the bottom of the screen to show that if we had a winger running up that flank, we could have played it that side as well. So that's how we went about it. And if you look at the second half, most of our play was Doherty and Hill trying to get crosses into the box.
That's the most joy we were getting, except for when Winks found a couple of passes over the top.
Yes, Winks found a couple of passes over the top. Now, my problem with this, and again, unpopular opinion, I'm going to put it on Conte. If you're going to do that, work around them, what do you need? If we're gonna get the ball out wide and put it into the box, what do we need in the box?
Bodies.
Right. Look at what we did. If we bring up the next slide, we've got 4 players in the box against 6. Why aren't we committing players? We spent weeks and weeks and weeks talking about the Norwich game, the Liverpool game, how the reason we're scoring from set pieces is because we're getting more bodies in the box. And I showed you how in previous matches we'd keep 3 or 4 players outside of the box marking empty spaces. And I'm saying to you, Sim, we're too heavy on the thought of the transition of going from attack to defend, and we're worried about the defensive transition as opposed to being more confident in our attacking phase, commit more bodies, be more adventurous. We've gone back to, it's almost like we hit the reset button. 4 against 6. Let's bring up the next slide as well. Look at this.
It's also the second half.
Second half. Emerson's crossing the ball in. I've circled the ball in blue so you can see the cross coming in. Why have we got 4 players there doing nothing?
Should be more. Yeah, especially when they're down to 10 men, you have to commit more. Why is there 4 players just stayed back?
We know they're compact. We know they're tight. We know they're deep. We know there's only 2 ways we're going to get through this. Around them or brilliant passes. We know we're not going to play the killer pass because they're too deep, so we're going around them.
Is that because we've got 3 centre-backs on the pitch, potentially? So they've been tasked in this situation to stay back?
Why we're doing it, I don't know, because I don't do this. We'll have to ask Conte. Maybe he was worried. Yeah, maybe because we had the wrong players on the pitch.
I'm just saying, as a formation, we play 3 at the back, right? So, even with they're down to 10 men, because we've got 3 centre-backs, they're not always going to be, more often than not, they're going to be centre-backs, and they're not going to be in the box when we're attacking. You understand?
I see your point. Look, for me, I would have changed how we set up second half. I would have gone to 4 at the back. Just because Ben Davies is the left side of a centre-back doesn't mean he can't go back to a left-back role. We've gone 4 at the back, Davies left-back. And then when we were in that attacking phase,
2 centre-backs instead of 3.
Correct. And I probably would have brought on Tanguy and Ndombele, which a lot of people disagree with, but we needed another option than just crosses into the box. Okay, crosses into the box, put more bodies in, we're creating more problems, and that's actually where the goal that was disallowed, where the goalkeeper dropped it, it came from us playing that tactic. But you need more. You need to keep the consistency of wave after wave after wave of attack. So I would have also put the option of, have we got someone that can find an intricate short-range pass that does sneak its way through? Winks was the only one on the pitch that potentially could do it, but Ndombele is the best in the team at finding those passes. Would he have worked hard and put himself about enough to do it? We don't know, but we know he's got the ability. I would have brought in Ndombele instead of a Doherty or a Hill, in my opinion, because the way Southampton set up, we needed someone on the pitch to do that. And
you think, in that sense, actually, having the back 3 in that way kind of hindered us, because he always kind of felt like he had to keep those wing backs there as opposed to moving to a back 4, which is why when he takes off Reguilon at half time, which I'm assuming, look, both wing backs played 90 minutes against Palace, didn't they?
Yeah.
So and we know in the Conte system there's a lot of pressure on the wing backs. They're a lot of energy, hardest working on the pitch. So how likely was it they were going to play 90 minutes in this game as well? So he takes off Doherty, he takes off Reguilon at half-time. Who's he going to bring on? He brings on Doherty because Sessegnon's injured. We have no one really other wing-backs. And then he takes off Dele, brings on Lucas because, Lucas is in great form. He would have got up. Of course he brings on Lucas. He had to bring on Lucas.
I don't think Lucas was the right choice, though.
Okay, you could argue that.
Because Southampton was so deep, Lucas's talent is running with the ball, taking a player, connecting the dots, but it's him driving at the other team. It's very hard to drive at a team when they're all deep. We needed a locksmith, someone that can unpick the doors. And Ndombele for me would have been the better option.
So you would instead of Lucas, you would have brought in Ndombele. Would have raised. I'm just saying, it would raise a lot of eyebrows. That's all I'm saying. It would have.
It would have raised a lot of eyebrows, but
that's why you paid the big bucks. Not you, but Conte.
Yeah, I definitely don't get paid the big bucks. Yeah, it would have raised eyebrows, but what happened with the changes we did make? Nothing really.
Yeah, Lucas really, apart from one moment where he got to remember this moment, he mishit a shot and then he caught it himself and actually got a good cross in and nearly found Kane, but unfortunately it was cleared away. But that was the only moment really Lucas got involved. And you're probably right, and Ndombele probably would have been a better pick at that moment. But then he then Emerson's getting tired, so he had to take him off. And then he brings on Gil instead of Ndombele because he wanted to keep the back five. Because if he didn't want to keep the back five, he actually could have brought on Ndombele.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
If he went to a back four, he wouldn't have had to bring on Gil because he wouldn't have to think of always putting a wing back there. He could have brought on Ndombele and then just made a back four of Doherty, Davidson, Dyer and Davis. That could have been our back four and maybe put Ndombele there and that can pick the lock. But because he was so focused on I have to keep the three at the back and the wing backs, it has to be a mainstay for some reason in this situation. Maybe that hampered us a bit.
He might have also been thinking that, I kept three at the back against Crystal Palace when they went down to 10 men and we made it work. But the difference was Southampton, they defended extremely well in a compact group. I've said it before, and I think I might have said it in the last stream. I rate Hassan Hutel. I think he's a good manager. And I think he's a good coach.
Well.
I just feel he's never had the rub of the green, always big injury problems. And because he's had a couple of shocking results.
Southampton. Yeah, he's done all right.
Like 9-0, 9-0. He's just kind of been tagged as being a bad coach. But Poch lost 7-2 to Bayern. Is he a bad coach? Of course he isn't.
Look, Southampton, he's been there for how long now? 2-3 years now? Southampton usually change managers every year, they used to be. They used to change managers all the time. He's actually been quite consistent there. And he hasn't done badly at all, I don't think, Hassan Hutel. I think he's a pretty good manager.
I like him, Sim. I think he's a very good manager. And he's doing the best he can with what he's got. Look, for me, they had a better tactic against our tactic in the first half. And we didn't have a response of how to get out of their press. When they went down to 10 men, they said, right, we're going to park the bus, sit back. We might get one or two chances for a counter. And they did. They nearly won it at the end when Dyer slipped.
Yeah.
Our tactic should have been be more committed in the attack. We don't need all these players at the back. We don't need them. We're too worried about the transition into a defensive phase rather than focusing on our attacking play. Some of the substitutions are questionable. And, in my opinion, I think a draw was actually a fair result if we're going on performance, not on what actually happened, because we are going to get onto VAR.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a
Got to
sec.
touch it. I don't think we played particularly well enough.
And also the way we played in the second half, as you were saying, we wanted to get around the press, right? Around the compactness of Southampton,
call it the low
centre or the low block. Our main source of attack was Doherty. He got a lot of the ball in that second half, and Emerson and Gil were on the right. They also got a lot of the ball in that second half. But having them inverted, as opposed to having them going on the overlap on the outside and then whipping crosses in, surely that would have hindered us in a lot of occasions. Because yes, Doherty did get free a couple of times, right? He nearly scored on the left, but when he went with his right foot, and there was one time where Winks played a little ball over the top and he nearly got on the end of it. Yeah. And Gil near the end actually got in on goal and he cut inside and he forced another save out Forster. But how many times did Doherty and Gil both get in a position to cross the ball and then had to check back on their stronger foot? Like how many times? It happened time after time. And what happens when a player is forced to check back onto their stronger foot to put a cross in? It gives more time to the defence to get more settled and to get in a position to get the ball away. I feel anyway. I might be wrong on that. So do you feel like having those, especially how the second half was going and how we had to attack them, having them inverted as opposed to having them on their stronger side, might have really hindered us?
I don't know why Doherty was on the left and Hill was on the right. We signed Hill as a left winger. Doherty is a right wing back. They're both playing out of position. It didn't make sense. And you're right. Those extra seconds to cut back and cross, you're missing the opportunity to put the ball in when maybe we're just getting into a position where the defenders, we've pulled away from the defender. Another thing I noticed both wingers do, and even Son did it when he put a couple of crosses in, nobody drilled the ball on the ground across the face of the goal or drilled it back to the edge of the box. And that goes on to my other issue that I have. Another way you beat the low block, long range shots. We didn't take any shots from distance and we had chances to do it.
Højbjerg especially had a couple of chances.
Sim, if it's not working, have a go from distance. It's Ben Foster. How good is Ben Foster?
For Fraser Forster.
Sorry, Fraser Forster.
Even worse.
Beg your pardon. Yeah, how good is he? He dropped a ball with an easy catch.
Yeah.
Imagine we put a shot on target, top corner, bottom corner. We didn't ask enough questions. Again, whose fault is that? You probably put that more on the players. Conte doesn't, he's not in charge of them. Are you going to shoot or not? Right? The players are coached.
Is that
they
down
practice
to
finishing, they practice shooting, they practice laying off a pass to shoot. I don't put that on Conte. I put that not shooting from distance. I put on the players.
Is that down to maybe Winks and Højbjerg not having the best of long range shots? Maybe they were just hesitant to do that. And also it's a case of
confidence is an issue. Yeah.
And also it's a case of Kane and Son, who are very good long distance shooters. They were too.
Moore's on the pitch. He can shoot from distance.
Yeah, but I feel like Kane was, because they're down to. Kane usually likes to come deep, right? We've seen it before. Even though Conte said he likes to have him in the squad in the area. Sorry. But maybe he was reluctant to come deep because he always felt like when a cross comes in, he has to be in the box and be that option there.
He's not going to come deep when the other team's compact and low, because the whole point of him coming deep is to be a creative passer. There's only so much you can create as a passer from a deep position when the opposition is set up like this. What you need is someone that can play a delicate, short-range pass to feet that just splits defenders. Ndombele is brilliant at that. That's almost his trademark move.
But surely, if Kane does come deep, they can't just leave him and allow him to shoot. And if they do allow him to shoot, then that's a Harry Kane having a shot from 25 yards or whatever.
Well, Sim, here's the thing: we don't know because we didn't try it.
Do you think he should have tried that? Tell Kane, look, drop a bit deeper and try and get some shots off from outside the box because you're very good at that, or even Son.
I would have sent the instruction, try a couple of long-range efforts, and I also would have told the wide players, when you're crossing the ball into the box, can you play on the ground, just behind the penalty spot, edge of the box?
And the funny thing,
we didn't do that. We never did that.
And the funny thing is, against West Ham and against I can't remember who else he played. I think West Ham. Okay, let's say West Ham. Doherty, playing on the right, did that about 3 or 4 times, if you remember, against when we played West Ham in the Cup. Doherty played on the right-hand side. He was actually playing and he was playing some really good along the ground passes to about an area you're talking about.
See,
and yet he wasn't played on the right, so he wasn't allowed to do that.
Look how our goals came against West Ham. It was individual moments of technical excellence where quick feet, quick decision-making, quick short-range passes beat the defenders and got the ball to where it needed. Bergwijn and Moura. So tricky players doing delicate, tricky, intricate play in the area. Who was on the pitch doing that? Everything was like cross. It wasn't working. A bit like the first half. How do we get the press? Long. It's not working. Look, tactically, the way we went about it, I think we got it wrong. In both, when we were trying to get out of a press, and when we were trying to beat a team that played with a very compact, low block. I put that on Conte, and I know it's going to be unpopular opinion, and I know people say, "Oh no, but Conte's God." Conte is excellent. I'm so happy he's our manager, and if he's backed, only greatness is going to come to us. I'm confident of that. but that doesn't mean we can't question what the manager has done. Just like I will question you, Sim, what was that show you did the other day? And you'll question me, Stel, really? You think Lo Celso's going to be, he's going to turn out to be good for us? Which I do. But again, you can question me on that. And we, you know, we're allowed to question things.
Okay.
I don't think it was Conte's best moment, but you know what?
But you know, if things happened and turned out differently, we could have ended up with the 3 points. Do you not think we created enough chances to win the game, or not really? Because Forster did make 10 saves in the end, although they weren't the best of saves. We still made 10 of them. You know, we got 10 shots on target.
Yeah, but if they're tame efforts down the middle, or you know, pretty basic. Testing a goalie and taking shots are two different things. I always say this to players when we're coaching players. Your performance is the most important thing. Wave after wave of attack. Keep the ball. Create chances. Get shots away quickly. Bottom corner, top corner. Put unsustainable pressure on the opposition, because if you do that, you will get goals. And by playing like that, you are taking the decision of the outcome out of the hands of the referee. We allowed the referees to decide the outcome in this game. Whereas if we played like we did against Liverpool, we would have taken the decision out of the referees. We would have walked away with a 3-4-1 win and said, do you know what? They got a VAR decision wrong, but we don't care because we put 4 past you. We controlled the outcome. I don't think we did well enough as a team, performance-wise, to take the decision out of the referees. And that effectively is what happened. And then everyone just jumps on, oh, it's VAR, VAR cost us VAR. And I do want to get onto it because I do think VAR cost us, but I don't think there was this huge injustice, though.
Okay. Well, let's move on to what you're going to speak about next then.
Yeah, I wanted to get onto VAR, Sim.
So this one, okay.
Right. This is the first decision. Now, there's a video going around today of what happened against Man City.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the difference? Okay. Sorry, just taking a bit of a sip of my drink.
So here we go.
The energy boost. With this, last season, first thing I want to say is we can't cherry pick when we want to moan about VAR. I don't care what anyone says. I really don't. Harry Kane should have seen red against Liverpool.
Yeah.
If that was against us, I would be fuming if that happens in the North London derby, I'm going to lose my mind if the Arsenal player isn't sent off for that. We were happy to say, oh, well, you know, sometimes they get it wrong. Okay. So on this occasion, we can't now just throw all our toys out of pram and say, oh, VAR's a joke. It's a disgrace. Yes, we can be upset by it, but you've also got to accept that Harry Kane should have had a 3-game ban and he wouldn't be playing in this game and he wouldn't have scored the goals he scored in the last 2 games. So we've got... I'm not here to defend VAR or to defend Southampton. I'm a Spurs fan through and through. Spent 2 hours in the car driving to Southampton to watch this and then another 2 hours driving back. And now I'm on a Tottenham, WeAreTottenham TV show talking about Tottenham. I love Tottenham. I've got a Tottenham kit on. But I want to bring balance to what's happened. Kane should have been sent off. He wasn't. Kane should have been given a goal. He wasn't. So we've got to put some balance there. VAR in general, 85% of decisions, Sim, are correct. VAR has rectified 85% of the mistakes that used to happen before VAR. VAR is working. VAR works. It's doing very well, much better than what people want to give it credit for. The problem is, because it's not 100% yet, that 15%, we blow it up so much because what's the point of the technology then if it's still going to make mistakes? Well, sometimes computers shut down without us asking them to. What's the point of having a laptop then? Because it's going to shut down sometimes randomly. Technology will make mistakes.
And it's not the technology, it's the people using it, isn't it?
No.
No? You don't think so? You think it is the technology?
No. This is the bit I'm going to get onto. Last season, this decision, if it was your toe, your arm, or your head leaning forward, it would be offside. They've taken that away now. They've said the toe, the hand, the head cannot be used in an offside decision on VAR. What we're going to do is we're going to pull back the line, the vertical line, from the armpit. The armpit is there. The line comes down from the armpit. If you look at it closely enough, I can see why they gave it offside. My issue is the thickness of the line. Because if that line is
a bit thicker,
a bit thinner, he's onside. He's onside. But the thickness of the line pushes him offside. So whose fault is that? The VAR machine? No. The people in Stockley Park? No. The referee? No.
I mean, the line going down or the line going across?
Both.
Both lines you're talking about.
Both. The line's too thick. So when every club signs up to agree to be in the Premier League or the Championship or playing a European competition, you have to get affiliated each year, and then you have to be sanctioned by your governing body, the FA, and then the league gets sanctioned, and they can only have sanctioned teams put in. There's a process. It's almost like renewing your license each year. When you do that, Sim, you are agreeing to a certain set of terms and conditions. One of them is called the laws of the game. It's a 500-page book. I've got it at home. It's really boring, like super boring. I haven't read it all because it's just boring as muck. But if you read the laws of the game, you can buy it, I think, for £5 from UEFA.
Okay.
There are rules in there that state the use of VAR. Okay? We as a club agreed for VAR and the rules of VAR to be applied to our matches. We've agreed to that when we accepted to be in the Premier League this season. The rules were applied correctly. The laws of the game were applied correctly. So to answer your question, it's not the people in Stockley Park that's the problem. It's the people that write the rules. It's the laws of the game that are the problem. And that is where our frustration should be directed. Whether it's people that sit in administration offices up in FIFA, people that sit in administration offices in UEFA or the Premier League, whoever has the final input on the VAR rules and how they're used, that then goes into the book, the laws of the game, they're the ones that have created this. And
you think that this has come into question because of VAR has kind of, in a way, forced a rethink of potential rules? Because obviously, look, you're a coach, right? You do. Was it Sunday League or was it
everything?
Everything. Okay, so you're on your you can see it, right? There's no VAR when you're playing football, is there? No. Right? So a linesman.
VAR's only in the elite level.
I know. I'm just
not even.
I'm just
lower divisions
qualifying.
Yeah.
The statement. Yeah. So when a linesman puts his flag up, right, for offside when you're playing the game on your Sunday League, that's because it's not like he can see a toe, right? It's not like he can see an armpit. He can pretty much clearly see you're offside. Like, it's pretty clear. If a linesman can see it, it must be pretty clear that guy, that guy, the player, when he played the pass, was beyond the last defender. It's like clear to the naked eye. Yeah. So when they wrote the rules, they just wrote, if any part of you is offside, because you're offside, because it was so clear. Because if a naked eye can see that you're offside, if any part of you offside, then you're offside. Because that's why they've written it. Because they've written it for a linesman. They haven't written it for VAR. But now VAR's come in and they've literally seen, oh, your stud is offside. So by the rules, if any part of you's offside, you're offside. And now that's coming. That's where the confusion's coming on, because the rules are written for the naked eye. It wasn't written for a camera which can see to the nth degree exactly what position you are in. And so do you think actually it's VAR that's making people think the rules need changing rather than the rules actually needing changing, if you know what I mean, for the benefit of the game?
Right, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
First of all, a lot of mistakes were happening. We're forgetting what it was like before VAR.
Not disagreeing with that.
The reason VAR came in is because the game has become so fast, so quick, it's impossible to accurately spot some of these offside decisions.
Agreed.
The speed of the pass, the speed of the run. Also, you don't always get the right angle, especially with fouls and tackles and handballs. You don't get the right angle. So if there's a camera there, and they can see a different angle, now as a referee, you're thinking, do you know what? There's no way I was going to see that. Luckily, I've got this video replay. That's why it was brought in. So we need to remember that. Yes, I do think the rules are being rewritten because we're getting so much more concise information that...
Forcing it to.
Yeah. So I agree with you, Sim. And that's why I said to you, Spurs fans, don't get angry with VAR and don't get angry with referees and don't get angry with Stockley Park. It's the people that write the laws of the game that our frustration is with. But they're learning as well. Like anything, when a new technology comes in, you need 3, 4, 5 years to iron it out. Unfortunately, we're going to win some, we're going to lose some. Against, like, I go back to the Harry Kane thing. It's a straight red, man. He's off. It's a free game ban. It's not even an argument. But at the same time, we're looking at that and we're thinking, the rules are killing us here, man. How's Harry Kane offside? It's bonkers. But the rules were applied correctly.
What do you think the rule should... Is there a rule that in mind for you that could, if the offside rule was to change, that could benefit?
I think unless the part of the body that is deemed offside cannot score a goal, then you can't use that. Who scores with their armpit? Surely
But technically you could. No, because here and this is now not handball up until here.
Okay, but who's going to score with their armpit? I would say go with.
But technically you can. You can score with your armpit. Though.
Sim, do you know what? Actually, I've got the right answer here. There's a guy called Brad Matthews. He was on Mari's Love Lounge last night.
I know Brad.
Right. Yeah, of course. He goes to the Spurs games, doesn't he? So Brad came up yesterday with a really good idea, and they do it in another sport. Each coach should be given 3 challenges. So you're allowed to challenge a decision 3 times a game, but it can't take long. Like, right, this is, you've got 30 seconds for this to be challenged and for that to be reviewed, re-looked at from a different angle, to rethink it. So potentially by having a challenge card, that could fix some of the issues.
Do you think if they change the laws?
But then again, the rule was applied correctly here.
I know.
It's not the challenge. The rule needs to be rewritten.
Well, I'm saying, what kind of rule would satisfy people? Do you think maybe if...
Yeah, I see your question.
Do you think maybe...
It's a great question.
If they change it to just say, just your feet. If your feet are on
No,
side,
because you can score with your head.
So? But how much advantage are you getting by leaning forward? You know, by...
Let's say this offside decision is in the 6-yard box and a cross is coming in and you header it in.
If your feet are onside, that's clever movement, I would say.
Yeah, but your head's offside and that's what scores the goal.
I know.
Look, the fact we're having this dispute just shows how
difficult it is to find a law that would... is it just a case of we're going to have to accept these kind of decisions and that's it? Or is it a case of the law does need to be looked at when concerning offside?
I think whatever happens, this is always going to be the case. We used to have problems with offside, then they changed the offside rule, then they made it super complicated, then they made it uncomplicated, then we had issues with handball, then Salah handballs it, but because it wasn't in a particular phase of the build-up, that now means that handball doesn't exist anymore. There's constant issues that you will never write a perfect set of laws. It's a bit like the government. They will never write a perfect set of laws. And the next government that comes in will want to change laws. And the next government that comes in will want to change laws. And it's the same with FIFA and UEFA. Whoever elects those people to govern the sport, they're going to change the rules. They're going to change the laws. Like the World Cup being every 2 years. Some people are for it, some are against it. Laws and rules will forever be changing. And because they are, nothing will ever be perfect. And it's just a bitter pill for us to swallow on this occasion.
But you talk about the law being applied correctly. What about for our other goal?
Yeah, so if we bring that one up, we've got a slide. It's not really ideal because we could do with a photo again. In the VAR rules, it says if the referee blows the whistle before the ball goes in the goal, VAR is not allowed to intervene.
Did he? Did he blow the whistle?
Yes. Now, if the keeper drops the ball, goes for his legs into the back of the net, and then the ref blows a whistle, actually that's a foul, VAR can intervene because it was a goal. And VAR will clearly, well, you hope, it's going to say, ref, come and have a look at the monitor. We think you've got this wrong. And the ref will be like, oh yeah, you dropped the ball. It's not a foul. But again, it's not the ref's, it's the ref's fault for blowing for an incorrect decision. But that's why we have VAR, to correct the referee if the referee makes the wrong decision. The problem is the rules, the laws of the game state, we will only help the ref if he blows the whistle after you score. Well, that's just a stupid law. So if you were to ask me now, Stelios, what rule would you change? VAR can intervene whenever it feels it needs to, not just because the referee blew the whistle. It's mind blowing because that is a clear goal, and on this one we were robbed, absolutely. But were the laws of the game correctly applied? Yes, they were. And we agreed to those laws when we joined the league this season, Sim.
But it's interesting because when Mark Clattenburg was talking about it on BT, I was here watching the game. He didn't say that VAR can't get involved because of the whistle. He said VAR can't get involved because it wasn't clear and obvious enough that it was a mistake.
It's because the ref blew the whistle.
That's not what he said though. He said it's not a foul, but VAR can't get involved because it's too subjective. That was his take. And if that is the case, is an incident like that for you too subjective to get involved with? Or is it clear and obvious, not a foul? Like, is there a case to be made that it could have been a foul?
If we're going to say if we're going to have a discussion about what do you think clear and obvious is, you're just opening up a can of worms, because to me that was clear and obvious.
Right.
But I saw 2 or 3 replays. Mm-hmm. The referee saw it in live action from one angle. So for the referee, it might not be clear and obvious, but the whole point of VAR is to intervene in things that aren't clear and obvious. Is it clear and obvious when a player's offside and VAR gets involved in the moment? No, it's not. Mm-hmm. We don't have all these lines and the vertical and the replay and the different angles.
But that's different because that's not a subjective decision. That's an objective decision. He's on or off.
But we scored a goal, though, Sim. Is that not subjective?
Which one?
This goal here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that, for me, should have been clear and obvious. But apparently, how it is
that's
now,
what I'm saying to you.
because there's this high bar.
Who determines what clear and obvious means?
This high bar of tolerance that we have in the Premier League, because we're so proud of the Premier League product, as you know, the Premier League are anyway. That it's fast and it's hustle and bustle, right? And it's free flowing. Like there's not many stoppages. It's just end to end. That's how people like to think of Premier League football. So people don't want too many long pauses for VAR and check the replay 100 times and then determine whether this goal. They don't want to enjoy the moment of scoring as much as possible and stuff like that. So they have brought in this high bar, right, of clear and obvious. And how they describe the high bar, do you know how they describe it? It's if the referee can accurately describe what happened to the VAR official, to what he saw. If the referee's description of what happened is accurate enough that to what the VAR can see, even if the VAR thinks the referee is wrong in giving a foul, if he describes it accurate enough, the VAR can't overturn the decision. So VAR can only overturn it if the referee's description of what happened wasn't actually accurate.
So to play devil's advocate, that's a good thing then, because otherwise, who's actually refereeing the game?
Correct.
And a big complaint from a lot of fans was, we don't want someone sitting in a room refereeing the game. Because if that's the case, remove the ref and just have a speaker system with someone talking that sees everything through a camera that gives the decisions. Fans don't want that either. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, no matter what rules you write, whatever laws of the game you produce, you're never going to get it perfectly right. But what is a fact is 85% of incorrect decisions are now being made correctly. VAR has improved decision making, but because this technology has come in and because people are so hungry for it to get everything right, when it does get it right, it actually feels worse than when it got it wrong in the past, because the technology is supposed to fix all of this. Well, it has for 85%, and that is a massive improvement. It will never be 100%.
Sure,
it will improve, by the way, Sim. It will improve even more. After 4 or 5 years of VR, I think we'll be in a happy space with it. But right now, we're still a bit...
Yeah, it's still fairly
new. Frustrating, man.
It'll be quicker. Sean Butler with a super chat. He says, easy fix to offside VAR. Get rid of VAR and go back to the old days. Human error is part of life. Win some, lose some. Faster game, less confusion.
Yeah.
If you could snap your fingers and VAR never existed, would you do it?
No. Only because 85% of mistakes have been eradicated.
But is the product...
We wouldn't have got to the Champions League final if it wasn't for VAR.
Well, we actually would have. Yeah, I guess we wouldn't have because of the offside. But with the handball, we still would have got that, with Llorente's handball.
Maybe.
Which is true, yeah. But no, it's true. But is the product hindered by VAR? The product of watching football. Is it as enjoyable? Is it as exciting when VAR is there or not?
Have you stopped going to games?
I haven't, not yet.
I went to an away game. I mean, I don't really go to them. I think
I'm not saying whether it's right or
I think
wrong.
this year we're not staring at that purple screen for like 4 or 5 minutes wondering what the hell is going on. The decisions are far more quicker. So for me, it's become more tolerable. But again, we've got to look at it from a balanced perspective. Harry Kane should have got sent off, and it's a 3-game ban.
Mm-hmm.
We're all right with VAR when he gets it wrong in our favour, but when it happens against us against Southampton, uproar. We're fed up of it. Why is the Man City decision different? But, again, were the laws of the game applied? And in every scenario, the answer is yes, the laws of the game were applied. If the laws were being breached, then we've got a big problem, Sim.
But does it take away the fact,
A very big problem, because then you could start accusing people of fixing games.
We
and
all
stuff
want
like that.
we all want correct decisions, right? We all want the referee to get it right. We all want.
Yeah.
No one wants to be robbed. No one wants to see having a sense of injustice. But that moment, right, where a ball, before VAR got implemented, the best thing about football, and especially going to games, is that moment the ball hits the back of the net and you're jumping and going crazy and celebrating like wild, and it's pure elation. Is it that's the best thing about football? Is it possibly taking away from that?
When Aguero's goal was called offside in the Champions League quarter-final,
Yeah.
you lot were jumping up and down cheering like it was a goal. Yes, he's not given. And I was watching your watch-along live in the stadium. You lot were going bonkers like it was a goal. So no, it's just we're having to adapt to a new way, aren't we? We're having to adapt to a new, just like we're adapting to not having tickets. We have digital wallets. We're adapting to technology, trying to improve the game. And in the most cases, it has. And you know what? It's creating a new sense of drama. So if it was me, Sim, I would do everything in life the old way, because the old way was innocent, genuine. But we have technology and the world has changed, and we need to embrace it because it's not going to go away. I don't see VAR going away because it's in every other sport now. It just needs to be refined. Better methods to improve it need to come in. Maybe it is that challenge card. Maybe that is what's needed. The lines to be thinner. What would be nice, Sim, what would be nice is when VAR is happening, and I think this would help the sport a lot, is for there to be a public announcement live from Stockley Park. Hi, this is Stockley Park, checking VAR. This is specifically what we're looking at. This is the rule. Because then we as fans would be like, oh, right, I didn't know that. And we would learn more as well.
Do you ever watch cricket?
I'm not a big cricket fan, but I
No.
know they're massive on this stuff.
So in cricket, when they have
You can hear the umpire talking.
You can hear the umpire while
Yeah.
he's looking at the decision. He's talking to the video umpire is talking to the actual umpire, and he's explaining. You actually hear it over the tannoy when you're when you're at the game, and you can hear them explaining what their thinking process is, and that you can hear them explain the decision to the other umpire. And then once the umpire makes a decision, it's not like a shock. Everyone understands
See, I
why
think
the
that's
decision's
great.
made. So, but why? I just feel like they'll never do that in football, and I don't know why.
Probably because of...
There was uproar when they were doing the whole trigonometry to determine these offsides. People didn't like that, but people, I feel, would like a verbal explanation as it's going for like subjective decisions and stuff like that.
I think they're probably not doing that because they need to develop a technology that can turn the mic on and off. Because imagine you leave the mics on and Pierre's arguing, Højbjerg's arguing the ref, and the ref goes, Pierre, fuck off.
No, you're right.
off.
That is one of the reasons. That's one of the
That'd
reasons
be
why
quite
they don't
bad.
mic up the referee. That is like genuinely
Really?
one. Yeah, genuinely. But
I'm not surprised.
But I'm talking about the video.
That's
I'm talking
very
about the VAR. Why the VAR referee can't
If a
hear
player
what
walks-
he's saying? No, the video referee in Stockley Park.
Oh, so there's only a mic in Stockley Park.
Yeah, and we can hear what he's saying
Right, I'm
and
with
what
you.
he's
Yeah,
saying.
Now that... I
Why
think,
not?
Because do you know what the good thing about that is? You're educating the fans.
Mm-hmm.
You're learning something new. So the next time it happens, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know the rule in this one. Do you remember the last game when Stockley Park said A, B, and C? So yeah, again, these are things that you think will come into play over the next 2-3 years and refine the technology. How long have you had VAR? Is it 1 or 2, 3 years?
2019 in the Premier League. So this is our third year.
Right. I think it needs 5 years to be refined. And I do think it has improved Do you remember how horrendous it was when it first came in?
Oh, do you remember that? Were you there when we played Rochdale in the Cup? The FA Cup was like one of the first. I think it was the first FA Cup game with VAR.
It was like a 5-minute delay.
It was unbelievable. Yeah,
Exactly.
Every goal was like even when it was like a fine goal, they were checking it, and it was like a 5-minute delay for every single
Everyone's
goal.
sitting down on their phones.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Playing
It was
computer
unbelievable.
games.
that was horrendous. It's a lot better than that, and I actually think in the major tournaments, it's been really good. Actually, I think no one's had a problem with how it was used at the Euros and the World Cup and things like that.
One thing I will say, I don't know what it is because I haven't looked into it enough. The use of VAR abroad seems to be better than what's happening in the Premier League, and I don't know why that is. I don't know what the reason.
You still
is
get
behind
some
that.
horrendous decisions. You do.
Still get some.
Yeah,
bad
you
ones,
do.
yeah.
You do still get
'Cause
even
like you
abroad.
said, in the international
But
tournament.
you know,
it was
the
excellent.
international is different. But apparently, from what I've read is, in the international tournament, they have more. They have a VAR. They have a set VAR team for each incident.
Yeah.
So, for example, they have a offside VAR team, and they have a foul, a red card VAR team, and they have a goal VAR team.
I
So
guess there's less games as well.
first of all, is that, and so they commit a lot more officials to each game. And in the Premier League and other divisions, there's not the manpower to commit that many officials to
Yeah,
one
too
game.
many games, yeah.
And there's too many games, so that's why you actually get quicker and more accurate decisions in these international tournaments than you do in the league.
I think the Premier League needs to start recruiting then.
Yeah, exactly. Still, you want to be? Would you be a VAR official?
Hell no.
Hell no. Would you envisage? Do you reckon you could ever see a future where there just isn't a referee on the pitch? Like, what would be the problem with that, technically? Because referees do get influence, don't they, from players shouting at them, all this stuff. They sometimes get influence from the crowd, all these things. That would take it away if there wasn't a referee and there was just like a computer or whatever refereeing. It would seem like weird at the start. But is there a future in that, do you think?
I'm actually in a referees group because I actually try and learn from referees because it helps me on match day from questioning decisions when actually the referee, you know that book, The Laws of the Game.
Yeah,
The referees need to know that inside out. The ones at the top level, right?
I would hope so.
And the one thing, he was an ex-Premier League referee back in the 90s, and he told me this. He said, when you referee a game, once you do lots and lots of matches and you get used to lots and lots of teams, you end up knowing the players. Not personally, but you know what they're like. So you will know when a player's getting hot-tempered, and it'll be different body language that gives that off. Like some players, they don't speak, they scrunch up their face, you can see they're getting angry. Others, they'll get verbal. Others, it'll be a gesture like slapping their hands on their thighs. But you only know that once you get to know the player. And a referee in that moment can go up to the player and say, calm down. One more and I have to book you. Whereas that conversation might be different with another player because you know he is going to calm down. A machine cannot replace that human interaction of knowing the player and knowing when to give a player the benefit of the doubt in a moment. Like, one player might go into a challenge and you know it wasn't malicious. You know he didn't mean it on purpose. It is a foul. And you know what? I'm not going to give a red because I know you didn't mean it that way. Whereas another player, you know he's a nasty piece of work. You've seen him play enough games. Mate, that's a straight red. You know exactly what he did. You went in to hurt him. Can a machine understand players like that?
But should a referee be refereeing like that? Is that a good thing? Or should a referee just be completely objective? Doesn't matter who it is, you're getting what should be the proportionate punishment for whatever you've just done? Or should there be a bit of human element to it?
If you take the human element out of it, you're taking the emotion out of the sport. You're just making it more robotic. You know, let's be honest. The occasional bad decision spices up a game. It creates more of an emotion, more of a human factor. If everything was perfect, what would we be talking about? We wouldn't even be talking about VAR. What we left
Football.
to talk about?
The game.
Yeah, but everything's perfect. Every player's perfect. Everyone's playing perfectly. There's nothing. You need a bit of controversy. You need a bit of drama. because that's part of the entertainment. As long as it all goes in our favour,
Exactly.
it's great. But I hear what you're saying. Probably one day, maybe a long time from now, yeah, referees might be replaced. But I think that would be a very bad move for the sport.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've really thought it through what it would mean for a whole game to be refereed by a computer. But I'm just thinking, just in off the top of my head, how first of all referees do get a lot of things wrong, and it's not like, do you think referees do get pressured, from not just from players but the home crowd as well and things like that, and they can sometimes, if there's a challenge gone in and the crowd go wild, it makes the challenge look a lot worse than it actually was. The referee gets.
You mean like Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United always getting penalties? No.
Exactly. No, never happens. Never happens. Yeah, it does happen sometimes. And that would completely take that away, wouldn't it?
I think referees do get influenced by the crowd. As do we get influenced by certain things as well. But, to be a referee is such a difficult job, man. It's who would want to be a referee? You get stick from the home team. You get stick from the away. No one ever comes out and says, ref, well done, mate. Honestly, well done today.
Great game.
How often do you see that? Doesn't really happen. Referees have got to have a lot about them to do the job. And do they really get paid enough for the shit they take? And they've got 60,000 people screaming their name. And like Southampton fans were all abusing the referee for that red card and for other decisions.
They got it right, yeah.
So
I get that. But maybe you could argue referees getting influenced by a home crowd is part of the game. What is home advantage if not trying your best to try and influence a result?
Yeah, of course. Any decision, handball.
Exactly, and that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Take the referee, that goes away.
True.
And another thing, Sim, if you had a robot referee up in the cloud or wherever in the storage space, how would we know what the referee decisions are? We'd be staring at our phones.
Yeah.
Oh, what does the ref app say?
No, you can put it on the
he's
screen.
giving it. I don't believe it.
Put it on the screen.
I'm staring at the screen.
You put like a buzzer. Foul! Buzz.
Little electric shock.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
just
want
put it on the screen. You have a screen. It just whenever something happens, foul, bam, handball.
But then you're going into a world of, well, if we're going to watch the screen, I might as well stay at home.
I feel like this is football in the metaverse. This is what I feel like.
Listen, we're not going to talk about the metaverse today.
You got a whole other thing about the metaverse.
I'm doing a watch along for the first round of the Carabao Cup against Chelsea.
Yeah.
And Sai, he's quite metaversey. So we might just take over your show and create a whole metaverse show.
I love that. I think the fans will love that. Brad Matthews with the super chat says, "Get rid of lines and use clear and obvious when talking about offsides." That's his view. Can you get rid of the lines? Is that a possibility? Do you think? Is that a good thing?
I don't disagree, but I don't agree. I actually spoke with Brad about this last night.
You can't get rid of the lines.
Well, then how do you know if he's offside?
Just look at it. Is he offside or not offside? Why do you need lines?
I guess the focus there is it clear and obvious then? That might be a way forward. But again, we could do that and it could be better, but then you're going to have another controversial issue. Oh, but what is clear and obvious again? And that's what we spoke about before. What is clear and obvious? It's so subjective. What's clear and obvious to you isn't clear and obvious to me. Mm-hmm. Like, we do this tactical analysis show, and I say to you, Sim, it's clear and obvious how to get out of the press. Mm. But to you, it's like, no, really? I didn't know that. Okay? So, again, we might look at an offside, and to me, it might look clear and obvious. To you, it might not. It's subjective.
Okay.
Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know on that one.
All right. Let's look at, there was some, let's see if we have any questions on Twitter then. We put out a thing on Twitter to ask some questions. Cody Mack says, always love the coach. That's what Cody said.
I
it
love
wasn't
Cody
really a
Mack
question.
as well.
Johnny Einstein from the Shelfside Spurs show says, do you think Conte went with 3-5-2 to shoehorn Dele into the team due to his lack of versatility to play in any other position, whilst needing to give Skip a rest ahead of a busy period coming up? Was that possibly a reason why he would have played 3-5-2? Because Bergwijn, remember, was injured, so he couldn't play. Well, we didn't have too many options if Lucas needed a rest.
Why not play him in the front three then?
Can Dele play in the front three?
Well, didn't he used to make those late runs into the box, play behind the striker with Kane?
Yeah.
Could
I was in a 2.
Could we not have done a 2 and a 1 behind? So the 3 is almost like a triangle.
As opposed to him being an 8. That's what.
If you're shoehorning him in, then can't we shoehorn the tactic to suit him as well? I don't know. If he did, it didn't work. Because Dele, again, everyone was saying, great game against Liverpool. Dele's back. Conte's a magician. Look what he's done with Dele. But he's done it yet again. He has a brilliant game, like he did against Man City. Then he tails off. On my show, Tottenham Away, we've got a guy on there called Iggy. He's really, really good when it comes to his knowledge of Italian football. And he was saying, and you know what, I agree with Iggy. He was saying, after the Liverpool game, Winks and Dele got a chance again against Southampton. And you're saying to them, right, build on what you showed against Liverpool and just show me it wasn't a fluke. Winks did that. Dele didn't. And this is why, Sim, I cannot get on board with the fan base that Dele's going to come good. He's still young. Look at his stats. I'm like, but look at him play. Where's the consistency? For me, he's completely lost that nastiness about him. That he always played on the edge. He was always on the cusp of brilliance or red or something stupid. But that's what made him. I coach players like this, and it's very hard to manage them. But if you take that out of them, you kill their game. He's become quite placid, a bit boring. He's become a bit. Do something silly, Dele. Just chop that guy down and just look at him as if you're going to do it again. Fire yourself up. Where's that fire in your belly?
There's no fire anymore. That fire is extinguished, isn't it?
And
that's what it seems.
And that's why I struggle to get on board with Dele's back. I don't.
That's what Poch always used to say about. Because I remember in his early Spurs career, he got a couple of reds. I remember I think one of them was like punching someone off the ball and stuff. And Poch was questioned about that. I remember about Dele, and he was like, they were saying, "Oh, do you need to calm him down? Do you think he needs to be less aggressive?"
Yeah,
and
Poch got on his back.
And Poch was saying, "You can't take that out of his game.
He's
you
right.
cannot take it out of his game."
I agree.
Because as much as it'll cost you a few times, and you definitely, I don't want it to cost me. That fire is what makes him the difference between it makes a difference between a good player and just the player he is, and that gets him his magic. And if you take that fire out of him, he becomes a different player. And maybe that's what we're seeing. And where is that fire? Maybe it's just because he's too comfortable at Tottenham. Maybe he's got a lot of friends. He's got a lot of money. He's got a good, he doesn't have to work as hard to prove himself like he did in his early Spurs career. And maybe that's where the fire came from. And now he's kind of made it. I'm on 120 grand a week. I've got Dyer, my best mate. Son, I'm always doing handshakes with. Like, I've got all my friends here, English guys as well. Like, he's just got all, he's all very comfortable. And he was always in the team. And maybe he just needs to change of scenery to get that fire back. Maybe it's just gone stale here.
You talk about Dyer, he's got his friend there, but Dyer, he tries so hard to improve. Look how much he's improved this season. I'm not saying by any means Dyer's the future of Tottenham winning a league title, but we cannot deny Dyer this year in general has been very good.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's the truth. Like I said, we've got to be balanced. We've got to be honest about things. So what's Dele's excuse? This is your best buddy. Whatever the reason that has extinguished that fire, he needs to leave Spurs because it's just not working at Tottenham with him. And it will be very interesting to see what happens in January because before we went live, you said that Conte made a speech about he's now made his decision 100% on the players he wants to keep and who he wants out.
He has.
Listen, it's going to be exciting, interesting, and so many talking points when we find out. I believe Dele will be on that list to be out. If not, then Conte has seen something that I do not see at all. And I would always trust Conte over my opinion on something like that because he coaches the player. He's with the player. I just don't see it, Sim. I haven't seen it for a long time.
And then Leonardo says, I have two questions. If we buy Vlahovic and use the 3-4-1-2 formation, Kane as a number 10 and then Son and Vlahovic as a strike partnership, will it work because of Kane's passing? And secondly, if we buy Kessie, I think pairing him with Skip would be the best. What are your thoughts in terms of if we do buy another striker of Vlahovic's class? Would you want with Son being there now, looking more and more like he is almost like another striker? Do you if we do have a striker who's like a number 9? How do we fit him, Kane, and Son all into one team? Would you like the two up top and one in behind? And would that one in behind have to be Harry Kane, or would a Kane and this other striker have to just rotate game by game? Could you see a situation when they're both playing and Son regularly? Because it'll be difficult to have two out-and-out strikers like Kane and whoever this is, let's say Vlahovic, and Son. How do you fit them in?
If we sign Vlahovic, he's not coming to sit on the bench.
Of course.
And if we drop Kane, he's not going to stick around for long. So you have to play them both. There'll be games where you can rest them. It depends how much we're going to spend and what players we're going to buy. Ideally, we want a creative midfielder, what people call a box-to-box player. I call that a centre mid, and a striker. They're maybe even a right side player, another centre back. There's like right now we could take 5 or 6 players. Let's be honest. But let's say we buy 2 or 3. I actually said the other day, and I agree. What's his name?
Leonardo.
Leonardo. Good question. I actually agree with Leonardo. I would, if we signed Vlahovic, I'd play him in a high role with Son, and actually play Kane behind because 1, he's a striker. He can score goals. 2, he can create from a deeper role. So I actually think that would be a good short-term solution. And it would save us a bit of money as well because we wouldn't have to buy 2 players, striker and creative mid. In terms of, did you mention Kessie?
Yeah.
Kessie, there's a lot of talk about him. There's a lot of talk about McKennie. For me, the kind of player that we really need is Maddison. He's just watching him at the moment. He beats a player. He beats 2 players. He plays the right pass every time. He drives the ball forward. He can score goals. I think that's the kind of midfielder we are lacking. We don't have a midfielder like that at the moment.
When it comes to Kessie, we have Skip. I guess we have Højbjerg.
Kessie's probably an improvement on them. I don't know about Skip because Skip's playing bloody well, but you wouldn't say no to Kessie, but I think there's better options. I'd rather a Maddison. To be honest, yesterday, I don't know, did you see the Brighton game?
Yeah.
Buendia and Lamptey look fantastic.
Apparently Spurs are looking at Lamptey. That's why I've heard.
Honestly, I haven't really seen much of him. I'm only going by off 1 game, and that's dangerous to do. But what I saw, I know he's short, but the strength, the pace up here, he reminds me of what Danny Rose used to be like for Spurs. He's that kind of a player. We need a player like that. I would not be disappointed at all if we signed Lamptey.
And he would be very good competition for Emerson as well, I feel.
I think he'll kick Emerson's ass.
The only problem
Well,
is...
actually, I shouldn't say that. I've only seen 1 game. I'm getting carried away now.
No, but Lamptey's been very impressive for Brighton for a long time now, so it's not just 1 game, I can tell you that. I've been a big fan of him. Apparently the only problem with us and...
His pace yesterday was brilliant.
Apparently the only problem with us and getting him would be the fee Brighton would demand for him, probably a lot of money.
And again, it's going to come back down to the same thing, Daniel Levy, and are we going to pay the asking price for the player, or are we going to go and spend less money on a lesser player and not get what the manager needs? To be honest with you, Sim, when we signed Conte, we all said the same thing, back the manager. What is the point of bringing Conte? And every Spurs fan says, Conte wouldn't come unless he's going to be backed. Well, this conversation has been going on now for 8 weeks. Well, we are 3 days away from the moment of truth. We've all been waiting for this. And again, we said this on my show, Tottenham Away. We said this. This is the month where all the questions will be answered. Can we beat these top teams? Can we get through a difficult set of fixtures? Will we back the manager? We don't expect 7, 8 players, but will you bring in 2 or 3 top players that the manager has clearly said, that's what I need? And then we can wait till the summer. Because if we do that, Sim, if we get those 2 or 3 now, Bruno Fernandes was 1 signing. Look at the impact he had on Man U. If we do 2 or 3, we will get top 4. I know we will get top 4. If we don't, Sim, again, unpopular opinion, we're not getting top 4. This squad This squad is not getting top 4.
We're
going to fall just short. But if we get those 2 or 3 in,
now
the statement it sends to world football. Tottenham have got Conte, and they're backing him. We need to look at this club, and other clubs and agents will be on the phone. We might be interested actually coming to you guys because we are showing a statement of intent. We're here to win big trophies. So there's a lot riding on January, I think, and we've all been waiting for this month to come. I just hope we're not heartbroken for the 21st season in a row.
not too much to ask for, unfortunately. We'll see. Look, I completely agree with you. I think it sends a strong statement. Now, that's the only way I see us convincing. Because right now, as we are right now, like, why would Vlahovic come? There's not much of a reason if other teams are in for him to come. But the only way we can convince him is if somehow is if we can convince him that we have Conte and we're serious about Conte. And like we are serious about pushing things on, and we see you as a big part of that project. Otherwise, he will just go to a City or a Juventus or whatever.
But also, Sim, if you sign Vlahovic, and in that conversation you say, I don't know what his first name is, but if you say Mr. Vlahovic,
Yeah, Dusan.
we're also signing Maddison and we're signing Lamperty. He will look at that and say, okay, you're actually building a team with me now, and even more importantly, you're sending a message to Son, to Kane, to Lloris, to Skip. Your future is here. You've given us everything. We've not won anything, but now's the time. Because if we lose them, we've got an even bigger problem. So there's so much riding on January and the summer. Judgment Day, it's coming.
Looking forward to it.
I can't wait.
Neither can I.
I hope for the first time.
And super chat from Faz Radfar says, to sell Tanguy and Dele in January, what should be minimum price? We talked about Dele a lot, but Ndombele, Conte had been, talking about him in his press conference today. He was asked, is Ndombele going to leave in January? And he said, didn't deny it. He just said, now's not the right time to talk about the future. I'm going to have a meeting with the club, and then things will become a lot clearer. Is that for you is that answer for you saying like, yeah, he's probably for sale? And also, how much, we signed him for 55 million or whatever it was. How much do you think we take for him if an offer comes in?
How good is Conte at a press conference? He just gives good answers, doesn't he? He makes you want to listen to what he talks about. He's a very good orator, even though his English isn't great. He gives us good explanations. Sim, do you know what? I could tell you about any player at Spurs, give you my honest opinion, back it up, and 99% of the time, not 99, 9 out of 10 times, I will get it right. And I'm that confident in what I'm saying.
Okay.
Tanguy, I cannot get a read on this guy. I cannot suss out Tanguy and Ndombele. If he wasn't making so much money doing nothing, playing football, doesn't play, sits on the bench. If he wasn't making so much money, I would advise him, go into poker, because no one will know what's going on. I have no idea. Talent, we know. Application, we question it hugely. Team selection, hardly gets picked. Is he being played in the right position? I don't think so. Has he been given enough run of games, back to back, 7, 8, 9 games, for him to cement a place and for us to really make a decision? No. But it's the same thing under every manager. It's impossible to answer this question. I can't, because I look at him and I can't get a read on him. His body language suggests, I don't want to be here, I'm not bothered. But then he'll just play a killer pass to Kane and we score, or he'll score a wonder goal like he did away at Sunderland last season, or was it Sheffield United?
Sheffield United.
You think, and then he'll celebrate it and he'll smile and you think, you do want to be here, but then it's so difficult to get a read on him. He's the one player I can't give an answer on. I'm sorry, he's the only one. What do you think?
I think I have a feeling that Conte doesn't trust him. And I've got a feeling that
He wants him out.
I think he wants him out. As much as I want it to work, and I know that Ndombele has all the quality in the world. He really does. Like dribbling, I've never seen someone dribble like him in a centre midfield position. He is sensational. But I feel like Conte, he wants a player who's dependable in the centre of the park. That's why he'll always pick Winks and Skip and Højbjerg over him, because as much as then whatever they lack in quality like Ndombele has, they're disciplined. They can be in that position. He knows they're going to be there. He knows they're going to be when a team is counter-attacking or a team is coming onto him. He knows that those players are going to be in that position exactly where Conte wants him to be. Does he know that about Ndombele? Does he trust him to know? Because Conte likes to literally meticulously plan every moment of the game as much as he can. That's what he literally, he plans everything out, Conte. And he wants to know that when he tells a player to do something, he's going to do it to the nth degree is what he's saying. And can he trust Ndombele to do that? I don't know. That's what he's probably thinking. But we don't have another player like Ndombele in the squad that can do what he does. And that's the thing.
If Conte thinks how I explained, and he can't get the read on Ndombele. He can't suss him out the way he needs. Then he will get rid of him, because, like you said, if I don't know you, I can't trust you, and if I can't read what you're about, how can I trust you? And you're right. If in that sense, he probably will have to get rid of him, but maybe Conte has read him and he has sussed him out. If he hasn't, he'll be gone.
That's what I think. And as much as I want him to stay, but the thing is, because he's on such big wages, he might be forced to stay. He's on level with Kane. He's our highest earner. It's ridiculous, actually, when you think about it. So, on that sense, is anyone going to pay for him right now? It's difficult to see.
Maybe then we might have to try and do a loan deal for him. But yeah, they're still going to have to pay the wages, but they won't be committed to a long contract of a wage. So maybe that's the avenue we've got to go down. But again, we don't know.
Yeah.
This window, there's going to be so much there's going to be so much we're going to find out about this current squad, whether we're going to get to a final, whether we are contenders or pretenders for top four, whether we're going to go for it and Levy's going to back our manager. We don't know. It's like I said, Judgment Day's coming.
And Sean Butler...
Judgment Month, sorry.
Sean Butler said, it's not about the money you make with Ndom, it's about the money you save. Take a 25 million cut and cut your losses and save an additional 40 million on wages. Cut your losses.
Who's going to pay his wages, though, Sean? This is the problem we've got, isn't it? Who's going to pay 200 grand a week to take him off? We can reduce the selling price.
But the wage is still there.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to it. But look, I think that's all we've got time for today. Another great video, another great tactics video with Stel. Absolute pleasure having you in the studio yet again. Man. I want to thank everyone for your super chats, for your comments, for interacting with the stream. I hope you all guys all enjoyed it. We'll be back very shortly with another video later on. But Stel will be back for another tactics video next week. Next week? Probably we'll discuss it.
We'll look at what games come up and we'll do it. I just want to quickly say, Sim.
Yeah, and go on.
If anyone's got any questions for me and they want a more in-depth question, as always, put it on this show and we will answer them. But come and check out my show once a week on a Monday, Tottenham Away. And if you've got a question, put it up. I'll get it on the screen. I'll answer your questions and we can talk tactics together on a one-to-one basis. Tottenham Away on YouTube. But make sure you subscribe to this channel because we need to get to 100k for Ben and Sim, and we are almost there, man. Support the channel. It's the biggest and best Spurs fan channel, and that's a fact.
And if you go to the title, Tottenham Away, if you click the Tottenham Away link in the title of this stream, you'll go straight there. So go over and subscribe to Tottenham Away as well, and go check out Stel on his own personal channel. But thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Stel, for another great tactics video. And we'll see you very, very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Judgment Day.